Welcome and thank you for joining us for our monthly webinar. This month, we will be discussing the importance of digital transformation from the real-life experience of a seasoned CFO. Some key takeaways you will have after this webinar will include why organizations must become digital to maintain or enhance their position in the marketplace, the critical importance of speed to market in the modern landscape, how to utilize QA to transform from waterfall to agile sprints within the software development lifecycle, and cost savings due to going digital using quality software assurance practices. Before we get started, I always like to start with some housekeeping. Please keep your microphones on mute for the duration of the webinar. Questions can be asked through the GoToWebinar menu bar located under the questions functionality. We will answer questions at the end of the presentation, time permitting, but you may submit them at any time throughout the session. Any we do not get to will be followed up with via email. We also encourage participation throughout the webinar. We will be asking polling questions to keep everyone engaged and to better understand our audience. In addition, at the conclusion of the webinar, you will be sent a survey. We truly value the opinions and feedback of our peers in the QA and IT community. If you have a few moments, we would greatly appreciate you filling it out. So we would like to know, to start off, what has brought everyone here? Right. Thank you everyone for participating, and it looks like most people are here to overcome digital transformation challenges and hear from a seasoned CFO. So this webinar is sponsored by the Testing Consultancy, or also known as TTC. TTC is a global consulting firm that specializes in all things testing. We believe a successful digital transformation relies on having the right people, processes, and technology in place. We assist our clients to make these changes by providing modern software testing and quality engineering techniques such as test automation and test design optimization, which removes the bottleneck and enables organizations to make the transformation from agile to DevOps. My name is Carla Hartman. I serve as a customer success manager at TTC in the North Americas office. Most of my experience lies in marketing, and I have a passion for working in the software industry. I really believe the world's going digital, and it's a really great, exciting place to be, and I will be moderating this webinar. And now for the star of the show, I'm really excited for the next 30 minutes to hear the firsthand experience from CFO John Tombleson on how to truly achieve digital transformation and why C-level executives should be focused on ensuring their organizations have quality QA people, processes, and tools. He will share his experience and expertise regarding digital transformation in the telecom industry. So without further ado, I will pass this over to John to get the main event started.
So welcome everyone to this webinar. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you understand my New Zealand accent. Firstly, let me introduce myself. I've worked for Vodafone, the telco, over the course of the last 16 years, mostly as a chief financial officer in various operating entities around the globe. For the US listeners, Vodafone used to own 45% of Verizon Wireless and sold that for 130 billion US in 2013, which was the largest M&A transaction globally at that time. Vodafone now operates subsidiaries in Europe, Africa, Middle East, and Australasia, and partners with another 29 telcos globally. I left Vodafone last Christmas to invest and to work in the testing consultancy, mainly because I believe that for C-suite to successfully deliver their corporate strategies, they need automated testing. Right. So this webinar is not going to be about testing per se. I'll leave the nuts and bolts of that to the experts and to other webinars. What I want to convey are the conversations that most C-suites are having and what that boils down to. So if this helps you to endorse where you're taking your organization's test strategy, or indeed help you to set change ahead of C-suite asking or directing change, then awesome. And I want to keep it short and simple with just 4 things to remember. So the 4 top of mind topics for C-suites, I believe, are: 1, to be digital in all customer interactions, e.g. Amazon. Secondly, to have speed to market, i.e. new products and services released without a delay from IT. 3, to be agile, i.e. cross-functional teams delivering 2-week sprints. And of course, to lower costs. And automated and continuous testing is integral to delivering all those 4 strategies. This slide, Digital or Die, pretty provocative title. I recall that at the end of 2017, a group of CEOs from a variety of telcos invested 10 days of their precious time in Silicon Valley visiting companies, digital companies like Google or Airbnb, etc., and spending time at Singularity University. And the predominant message coming back from this was, we need to become more digital or we'll be overcome by our competitors. You know, key technologies are converging, the world's changing rapidly. Customers want to interact with their providers wherever they are and with immediacy. Sitting in a call center queue is a very bad experience. Providing the ability for a customer to interact digitally with a service provider is what's required. I personally have never talked to a representative of Amazon, for example. All my needs are taken care of digitally. How that is delivered depends on the service. It could be delivered purely by the functionality in a mobile app, or it could be via an e-commerce website, or it could be online via either a real-time chatbot or even a delayed chatbot, and with some form of artificial intelligence behind the scenes, and not just a host of humans frantically typing the answers. The quicker a company becomes digital, the more likely they avoid being overtaken by their competitors who provide a better customer experience by going digital first. Companies are targeting 90% of customer interactions to be via digital. So from a customer's perspective, digital has to be really simple. Quite complex in the background, and probably is. And if you don't have automated and continuous testing, then the time it'll take to do the regression testing will cripple the speed to market, which is a good segue to the next point. But right after Clara does another poll.
All right, poll question number 2.
My second topic is that is on, really on the top of the mind for the C-suite is speed to market. So telcos in many industries have complex billing systems. They have complex loyalty systems. They've got complex provisioning systems, production systems, large data warehouse, big data systems, comprehensive financial systems, just to name a few. It's real spaghetti behind the scenes. So when marketing design a new product or service, the C-suite want it in market like yesterday. If that doesn't happen, in my experience, the CEO rigorously points this out to the chief marketing officer, who then rigorously points it out to the chief technology officer, who then even more rigorously points it out to the program director, and so on. By the time it gets to the test team, the sound is deafening, and often, quite frankly, a bit of water off a duck's back. But you can get ahead of this by investing ahead of the curve. Spend some time and some cost automating the testing. Sure, there's an upfront effort, but the dividends are huge. In fact, in one engagement, I remember we reduced the time it took to test from 18 weeks to 6 days. That manager is a star. The companies who have speed to market can beat their direct competitors by being first to market with new products and services. So C-suites want their company to become 1, more digital, and 2, deliver with more speed to market. So how do they do this? One strategy firmly embedded in the C-suite mind is to adopt agile. And this is one of many methodologies, to be clear. The goal of Agile is to enable cross-functional teams to quickly launch improved apps that solve customer needs. Cross-functional teams of, say, 10 people deliver a digital improvement every two weeks, and that's usually to the mobile app. It's just not possible to deliver quality solutions every 2 weeks unless the right development environment is in place. Many organizations have adopted Agile and come to a screaming halt when they find that the organization does not have the building blocks required to deliver within these cycle times. In fact, they become slower to deliver. An Agile team needs to be able to quickly spin up new environments, easily manage test data, automate the running of thousands of test scripts, coordinate their testing with other Agile teams, add new test scripts for the new functionality, and report their testing success and or failures up the line. So fully functional, automated and continuous testing and DevOps are essential when delivering in an Agile workplace. And yes, they are equally as essential in a waterfall methodology where speed to market is paramount. Moving on to the next slide. Who hasn't heard their manager say, I have to take X% of my costs out? On average, the C-suite would be thinking that 10% reduction in the total cost base of a company is essential to remaining healthy. The retail pricing is dependent on the cost base of your company. And if your competitors are quickly going digital, if they're achieving speed to market and have an agile mindset, then it's likely that that competitor is reducing their costs to serve the customer. And therefore, they can reduce their prices to the customer. And very soon, your customer becomes their customer unless you are equally or more efficient. In my experience, the C-suite does not know how much they are spending on testing within the wider IT spend. Otherwise, all companies will have automated their testing already. According to the World Quality Report, 3 years ago, the average testing spend within the total IT, OPEX and CAPEX budget was 35%. And last year, it was 26%. And this drop has been enabled by automated testing. Plus, it's harder to pinpoint the cost of testing in a distributed agile environment. So let's just say, for argument's sake, 28% of IT spend is on testing. And wow, man, that is low-hanging fruit when the C-suite asks the corporate to reduce costs by 10%. Sure, it requires some upfront investment in modern tools and time to automate the thousands upon thousands of scripts that exist in a company. But it is not a big investment for such a large repeating return. When choosing tools, it's essential that you think about the longevity of the solution. Cheaper or free tools may not require a business case to get started, but generally they're not scalable. In a year down the line, the limitations become apparent. Do things once and do it right. And I personally believe use Gartner as a guide on what each respective tool can and cannot do. At TDC, our automation engagements target to automate about 85% of the testing and typically reduce the time it takes to execute the manual test cycle from 7 weeks to 6 days, and in one instance from 18 weeks to 4 days. This time can then be reinvested in greater test coverage and delivering more products to market. We also deliver cost reduction through robotic process automation, or RPA, especially since that's the natural extension of test automation skills. It really is the same skill set and mindset. All right, Carla, another poll. I mean, as I said to start, just trying to keep this short, simple, and maybe a little bit about sucking eggs for the people who already know it, but often it's handy just to have it endorsed as to what the people in the C-suite are thinking and how can you deliver to what they're thinking ahead of them asking you to deliver it. So once again, this presentation is about really emphasising the simple stuff, and frankly a little bit about repeating it. So I'm really into the summary slides now, in terms of software assurance is essential, I believe, to digital businesses. The customer base, they base their lives around digital services, or they expect them. We're delivering reliable and great customer experience is key. Automated and continuous software testing is the modern way to achieve this, and with a combination of the best software tools and the best delivery expertise. So that therefore can result and should result in higher quality software, the faster time to market, and reduce costs and risks. And from a TTC's perspective, that's what we're in the business of helping organisations do to achieve their digital goals, by delivering that automated and continuous testing, by using modern tools chosen by our customers, and bringing the experienced team with the best practices to deliver. So as I said, keep it simple, the 4 things. One more poll. The other interesting one was the complexity of the companies, and not believing they can automate. So I'm not sure that's it is obviously harder in some complex systems, but definitely I don't think there's anything the TDC have tried that they can't deliver, not necessarily to 100%, but certainly to a proportion that will speed things up. But going through the case studies, in fact, no webinar would be complete without a couple of case studies. So this first one, real simple again, just describes the outcome of an engagement we did for a major global energy company. They'd invested in Tricentis Tosca and asked us to automate the testing across their enterprise systems, which were SAP and Siebel, across multiple geographies. And now the outcome of that is that 83% of the tests are automated, up from 11%, and the business risk that's covered by those tests increased from 30% to 83%, so the scope increased, and the end-to-end execution reduced from 7 weeks down to 6 days. So all in all, good success for that investment for that company. Second case study is around a media broadcasting company who had invested in, once again, Tricentis Tosca. They asked us to automate the testing of their core advertising revenue system. If it's not up, they don't get their revenues for the day. Now, the outcome was that, 85% of the 2,500 tests were automated, and the runtime reduced from 18 weeks to 4 days, which again is a good outcome for that organisation. And to be clear, TDC is not just a Tricentis shop. We use whichever automation solutions our customer have invested in. But we do believe that the Tosca product is the best of breed due to the integrated package of their solutions, as evidenced by Gartner. But to be clear, all tools are useful, and we use them and specialise in them. So in summary, and once again, you go back to the very first statement, the C-suite on average want at least 4 things. And if this is all you walk away from, probably is, just what are the 4 things that C-suite are talking about right now and wanting? They want to go digital, they want speed to market, they want to go agile or have gone, and they want to lower costs through automation. So my question to you is, how are you going to get ahead of the curve or stay ahead of the curve? And that's it from me, Carla.
Yep, we had a few questions come in, and we have a few minutes left, so I'm just going to ask one, and the rest will be answered via email. Could you give a ballpark percentage of cost savings that you've seen with companies moving to digital transformation and using test automation?
Yeah, certainly. So there's a multiple of answers here, and often where the company starts from is that they don't have, as per this case study a bit ago, they don't have all of the scope under test. So frankly, they're a little bit time boxed with the industry or the product owner is saying we need to get to market. So they're actually only testing, say, 30% of the things they could and should be testing. So the automation, which can, as I said before, onto this particular example, moving down up the chain from 11% to 83%, that doesn't mean that the cost savings are equal in proportion. It means that it frees up that test team time to do two things. One, to increase the coverage, to reduce the risk for the business. And two, it actually speeds the cycle time up, and therefore the business can start pumping more through the pipeline. And that means, happy CTO, happy CMO, happy CEO. But without a doubt, there's a cost saving. It's just how do you want to spend that cost saving? Because if you take something from 18 weeks to 6 weeks, well, it's obvious that there's time available now that can be either redeployed into doing something new and something more, or let's say you're a test team with a lot of say contractors in there helping to get through the load when the big projects come through, or you've got a company coming in to assist you. Well, then you just don't need as many of those people, and you don't need as much consultancy. So actually, in some ways and form, TDC actually does itself out of business from going from an automated testing mindset, a manual testing mindset, to an automated testing mindset. But the benefits for the customer are good. So I would suggest that there is on average, about a 25% easily saving to be made. If you are manually testing most of the stuff today, if you're at that 11% sort of mark, and it varies where you start from and how manual you are. Does that answer it? So I guess I'm saying a little bit, Carla, that there's a little bit of, depends on the organization, depends on how much they want to redeploy, depends on the maturity of the testing at the time you start the automation. It depends what tools you had in the past. But I would say you should be able to bank easily, without even doing the proper analysis per company, easily 25%.
Yeah, I think that definitely answers the question. Well, to be respectful of everyone's time, we will answer all of their questions via email. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you, JT. I really enjoyed listening to your experience and your take on digital transformation. And please, if you have time, fill out the survey regarding the webinar. We always like to continue improving, and you can visit us at testingconsultancy.com. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Carla.